Anyways,
Right.
hello guys. Today I have another special guest. She's been on the podcast twice now. Welcome back, Julia.
Thank you
Woo!
to be here. As
I
always.
definitely I definitely wanted to continue our conversation from last time because I had to run last time, but we were in the middle of such a great conversation about
Yeah,
traveling, solo traveling, budget traveling,
I
making
know.
your
I
dreams
felt
a
like
reality.
I could literally talk about it for hours. Like we were having such a good conversation. There's like so many different topics that like we could go on and on about.
Yes, I completely agree. Like travel is something I could just I could go on and on. I agree.
Like I have all these look at all these notes. They can't see this, but
Oh my God, girl, I love you for that. That means so much that you took the time to actually
yeah.
plan that much out. I just have this like bullet points on my notes app.
Yeah, I would have done that. Like, I was gonna write just like a couple things down, but then I kind of just like I was getting ideas from like different, when you write one thing down and then you're like, oh yeah, and then also like I was just thinking of so many other like topics and like
Yeah,
starters, whatnot about travel. So just kept going with the list.
yeah, I love that. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so would you like to pick our first topic that we start on?
Hmm. Well, maybe I really want to hear about your Scandinavia trip, honestly.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, yeah, as you guys know, I spent my winter break in Copenhagen and then Stockholm slash Kiruna, which is in the Swedish Lapland. And it was really cool. It was my first time in Scandinavia. I was just telling Julia, the weather was pretty pretty not great. Like in the Midwest, it's basically cloudy, no sun, really cold, and it was the same over there. So it was definitely not a retreat by any means, but it was a really great cultural experience, I think, because Scandinavian culture is just it's such a different lifestyle. Like the Nordic people really just know how to live, I think. They have a really beautiful concept. In Sweden, it's fika, and in Denmark, it's called hygge.
Oh,
And
I didn't even know that.
yeah, have you heard of either one of the words?
No.
Okay, so fika basically means it's a concept and also an actual time of day where they take the time to relax, have a warm beverage, enjoy just meaningful time with loved ones or friends, and it's built into their daily lives. So even in work environments, it's like mandatory, I guess, to have a fika, to have a break time, which is at
Honestly,
least
have
an
something
hour.
like that here because I feel like a lot of like our culture here is just like go, 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 like so much like hustle, like, I mean, I know not like every single like state and stuff, but like I feel like that's just kind of the majority of like the US. Everyone just like working, money, like on that grind and everything. So it would
Totally.
be tradition like that just to like spend time with your friend, like you have to spend time with like your family, friends, or whoever is like close to you.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful difference between our culture here versus European cultures in general. They basically work to live, and I feel like we live to work. And so, yeah, I really appreciated that time that the Swedish people and the Danes spent on just, taking a break, enjoying the little moments, and basically taking care of their mental health, which is so important, especially when the weather's crappy.
Definitely.
But
So
oh,
I
sorry.
was gonna so I know our conversation from last time about like all the budget travel and like cheap accommodations. So, and you told me that you were gonna try couch surfing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so it turns out I did not go through the couch surfing. As a solo female traveler, I felt a bit uncomfortable because all I was getting was like requests from middle-aged men,
Oh
which
god.
was not like something that was very intriguing. From a safety aspect, and also like just I have no interest in bonding with the middle-aged man at this point.
Yeah,
I'm 20 years old, and I would much rather stay with hostels where people are my age and I could actually talk to a whole range of people rather than one person.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. I was just like researching about it and I saw that there was a lot of like sexual assault cases with like females like staying with males like any age. And I was like, yeah, because at first I wanted to try it, but I wanted to like hear your thoughts on it. But now I'm probably not gonna do it
Yeah.
based on what I read and like the stories I heard. So yeah.
I mean, I did meet up with someone from Couchsurfing though. Um, they have an option where you can not only invite people to stay with you, but you could also invite people to just hang out. And I actually did accept a request from this guy named Barakat. And I just recorded like a podcast episode for him
Oh,
a
that's
couple days ago because he's interested in podcasting too.
that is really cool. Yeah, no, I would definitely like I like that idea of like, they have like the couch surfing and like different like apps where you could just kind of meet up. It's like a meetup group.
Hmm.
That's kind of a nice way to meet people.
Yeah,
And
like as a solo traveler, it could be hard to find other people to talk with and share your experience because like even though you're by yourself and that's kind of the point is to do things independently, it's still like not an excuse or like a limitation of as a way to meet other people and still like have that social aspect of travel. Like there's so many platforms like Couchsurfing and I was gonna mention Hostel World has a group chat as well to meet other people.
yep, I've seen that. Yeah. I think one of the best like aspects of solo travel is meet people, meeting like so many different people all over the world. So, why not just, kind of if somebody like invites you to go do something, like agree, don't limit yourself. And I know it can be like scary at times, especially like starting conversations, but I've noticed like on my solo trip, like I've kind of had to, like I had no choice. Like I'm not a super outgoing person normally, but
Yeah.
like in the airport when I didn't know where I was going. Like I had to come up to people and like ask. Like I had to. I had no choice. And I think that's another like beautiful aspect of it too. It's like you grow so much and you really like step out of your comfort zone,
I
you know.
completely agree because if you were with someone else, I feel like you'd be less inclined to actually like branch out and talk with strangers because you already have company, like so there's really no need to. But when you kind of like hit that phase in your solo travel where you're feeling a bit lonely, like you have to force yourself to like be
Yeah.
friendly. And I feel like now that I've started doing that and my solo traveling, really getting out of my comfort zone, I've become a lot more extroverted and I actually love talking with people now. Um,
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, that's one of the beautiful
I
transformations that you could
yeah,
get.
no, I noticed the same thing too. Like the first couple of days, I was a little bit like closed off. Well, I was not like closed off, but I was just kind of like nervous, like coming up to people and everything like that. But like I've noticed like along the way, like I had to, and then my first couple interactions, like I was like, okay, I get the hang of this. Like it's kind of fun talking to people, and it's not scary and like I
Yeah, people are
everything.
so much more approachable than you think.
Yeah, yeah. And I've noticed I've like started to get like a lot more outgoing and like I just was not scared at all to like to spike up any conversation, which was nice.
Yay, yes. I and that's not to shame being introverted. Like there's a time and place, of
Mm.
course, for all sides of your personality. Like I could still be very introverted, but I think it's a really wonderful thing that travel can gift you is that ability to become more comfortable around other people and to approach strangers and to
And
have
more out with yourself too.
yes, especially with yourself.
Hmm.
And I was going to mention that the great thing about traveling is that when you meet other travelers, you kind of already have something in common, which is that you're both somewhere that you've never been before. And if maybe the other person has been there, then that's another conversation point that you could talk about, like, oh, what was your experience last time? Why are you here again? There's just so many like great topics that you could cover when you're traveling because you inherently have so much in common already.
Hmm. It makes it so easy to start a conversation with somebody like when you're traveling versus just in your hometown, I feel like. Because when you're traveling, you just ask, like you said, like, you know, have you been here before, or like what are you doing today? And I think like a lot of the hostel accommodations, they're really nice, especially if they have like a free breakfast option, or if they have breakfast at all. It's like literally the perfect time to like start a conversation with
Mhm.
somebody. And like that's how you meet a lot of people too, is like breakfast time, when you're just like standing in line to get food, or like you find a place to sit next to like a stranger and be like, hey, like, do you care if I sit here? And then just like start talking. And it's so nice. And then you can be like, hey, like, what are you doing today? Like, do you have any plans? And then you can like, you guys can like do stuff together, or, like join a certain group and go on an adventure together.
Yeah, you never know where each conversation will take you. Like if the vibe is right, then like you have a beautiful connection that you could initiate if you just like make the first move, ask them how they are, if they want to hang out, maybe explore a local attraction with you. Um, and I mean that's like how we met, Julia, like just just by getting out of
We
our comfort zone and like yeah, joining that hostel tour and just being like,
Mhm.
hey, what's up? Like, where are you from? And we found out we're both from the Midwest, which is crazy.
Right? And then I asked you, I was like, I think I asked you if you've ever done the Stairway to Heaven, because I really wanted to do it. And you were like, "Oh no, but like I'm doing it tomorrow with a friend if you guys want to join us." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, we want to join you." Like hell yeah.
Which is
You know,
I think it's the best hike I've ever been on. Highly recommend Stairway to Heaven, guys.
definitely. It's a little hard like finding the trail that leads there.
Oh my God. Do you want to tell the story of like how we kind of got where we were?
I don't even know how many. I feel like that took us like an hour just to find like the stair, or like yeah, like the staircase or whatever you call it, like the stairs.
Yeah.
We got so lost
It was
because
horrible. We were in the middle of a freaking jungle in Hawaii.
just like a
Everyone was
forest.
getting bit up by the bugs. I had mud all over me because it's a
I
jungle.
was wearing white Nike Air Forces.
They were not white when we got out. Let's just say that.
I don't even wear them anymore because they're so dirty, like from that trip. And I probably won't wear. I have to get like new ones, honestly, because they're so dirty. But it was just so muddy, and like we were going through like this. Yeah, it's like a jungle, like a whole like rainforest that had like bamboo, and we were. I think it was. It felt like we were almost like climbing under like some barbed wire or something, or like
Yeah. Oh my God.
that opening. Do you remember we had to like get into that opening
Yeah.
of like the what was I don't know. There's so many different like obstacles I feel like that we had to go through in order to just find like those stairs. But like once we found it, it was like a whole like team. It was so fun because
Mhm.
it was like team effort, and we were all trying to figure out, where we're
Yeah.
going, and making these phone calls because we had the like part of our group like kind of left us and like went to because they I don't know, they like found it,
Yeah,
and it was
they knew where they were going. They were like, okay, we
yeah,
assume that they know where they're going too. So they kind of just left us in the
they,
dust. And our guide, shout out to Christian, he was like, guys, I got this.
yeah.
I know exactly where to go. An hour later, it was like, no, we're lost. We have no
Yeah.
idea where we are.
And then
But
yeah, I was on the phone with like the other guy from the other group, and he was trying to tell me like where we're supposed to go, but I was so confused. I was like, "What?" Like, but it was so funny. Like when we
yeah,
actually like
it was
made it.
worth it.
Yeah, it was such a relief to actually, find the stairs. Because I remember you were even saying like maybe we should just like go back because
I was about to give up. I was like, let's call it a
yeah,
day, guys. I'm getting
yeah,
alive out
we
here.
were literally getting eaten by those mosquitoes.
But yeah, the sidetrack. But
Yeah,
that was one of the adventures we experienced in Hawaii.
yeah.
Okay, so let's continue the topic of budget traveling because so many people are like, girl, like, what do you do for a living? How do you travel? And honestly,
They
it's
think we're spending like thousands on these trips, I feel like.
right. Yeah. Um, and I think that's just like, I think I mentioned this in my previous episodes, but travel is painted as some luxurious thing where you have to stay in resorts and, you have to spend an absurd amount of money to have a good time. but there are so many people that literally have a backpack and they just go. Like booking
Yeah.
the plane ticket is really all you need to do. And from there are so many options to make travel affordable. So we touched on hostels before, couch surfing. I mentioned work exchanges. There's also some new platforms that I came across, which is house sitters. You need to pay some kind of fee, but once you do that, you can basically stay for free in someone's house and take care of their pets while they're gone. There's also Be Welcome, which is the free version of couch surfing that Julia, I think you were trying to figure out before.
I actually found what it's called. There's probably a lot of like free versions
Oh,
of it,
probably. The one that I
but
found was called Be Welcome.
okay. The one that I found is called Trust Roots.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Have not
Yeah.
heard of that one, but okay, there you go, guys, if
I,
that's something that you want to do.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
and oh, did you want to mention another?
oh, I was gonna say like online jobs, like virtual
Mhm.
assistant. I know a
Yeah,
lot of people that like travel full time are like VAs. Um, and like teaching English and like
I was gonna
basically,
mention that.
yeah, like jobs where you don't need a degree necessarily. Um, and like different podcasts that I was listening to, like they were just talking about like online jobs and how sometimes it's like kind of hard to find. But if you are looking for like more basic ones like customer service or like virtual assistant, it's not as hard because you don't need a degree.
Right.
So there's ways.
When there's a will, there's a way. And like
Yeah.
honestly, um, if travel is something you really want to do, then you'll make it happen for yourself. There are ways. And that that's why like I am spending all my money basically towards these travel experiences. It's why I'm trying to get my TESOL certificate to teach English. Like it's all oriented about ways I can see the world because
Yeah,
that's truly my dream.
yeah, exactly. Me too.
We were talking like sidetrack, but I remember
Mhm.
Julia, we were like saying at work, all we daydream about is traveling. You're like, I sit at my desk looking up flights.
Yeah. Yeah, no, literally same. Like, and like every day, I feel like those like thoughts come up, like of like travel, because I know like I know that's like my passion and like my dream and everything, because like that's what I think about like majority of the time, like 80% of the time at least, if not
Ew.
more. So
That's why
yeah,
I'm so glad to like have found you, Julia. It's so nice to like bond with another person over this
yeah,
because it's one thing to talk with someone who's never traveled and be like, and then being like, oh yeah, that sounds nice. Like I would really want to do that, but they actually haven't like made effort. But
yeah,
it's so nice that like you're someone who actually dreams about it and you
yeah.
also go for it.
Yes, definitely. I mean, definitely like it's easy to just think about things or think about your dreams and just kind of have them like in the back of your mind, but it's another thing to actually like go for it and just like strive for that dream, and kind of live it. And I was listening to a podcast, of course. And so I listened to Rob Dial. He's like really good with like just like mindset, just like getting a positive mindset and kind of you know so like basically what he was saying is his New Year's resolution for this year is basically living the year as if it's gonna be like his last year on the
Mm.
planet.
Wow.
He said literally like every new year he like kind of like that's how he lived, like that's how he starts the new year, is like thinking that it's going to be his last year, because if you have that mentality, then you're going to do those things that you've always like dreamed of doing, like whether it's traveling or whatever it is. Like you're definitely going to spend more time with like your loved ones, and not constantly like work. And I don't want to say like if you're like building a business or something, to like not like put in those hours or something, but definitely like make time for the things that you like 100% like love to do, and have a passion for, because
Uh,
you know how much time you have.
you really don't. And we're actually like if you think about it really deeply, if we're going into this existential sort of mindset, like you don't really know if you even have a year. And
Mm.
at the end of the day, do you really want to say that you were working for something that you didn't really enjoy? You were spending time on doing things that you thought you were supposed to do, but you didn't really find fulfillment in? Or do you actually want to take charge of your life and make the most of it?
Exactly. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people just kind of conform with society or like, do what their parents or, other opinions kind of tell them to do, but they're not living their like authentic life, that's true to them. So,
So yeah, just go
but
after your dreams, guys. Like nothing
yeah,
is too far out of your reach.
yeah. But I feel like honestly, if you have that mindset that like this is your last year, like December, you know, 31st, 2023 is like your last day alive.
Wow.
You have that mindset, like I think life can change. You can definitely make your life change into
Mhm.
the life that you want, into the life that like you've always dreamed of.
Yeah,
You
there's a quote that I really love. It says that we overestimate what we can do in a day, but we underestimate what we could do in a year, which shows that we spend so much time focusing on maybe the huge goals, and we put so much pressure on ourselves to do it all at once. And we
know?
forget that it takes time, like to to build the life that you really want to live and become the person you want to become.
Mhm.
It all is like small steps. It doesn't have to happen overnight, and actually it's not supposed to. Everything in life, I think, is everything in life that you have to work hard for is like the things that will be the most worth it in the end.
Yeah,
This is like a
definitely.
different topic, but I mean, it can relate to travel. Like you have to
Yeah,
have that mindset, I guess, when you go through it.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's definitely like relatable to travel because if that's like your dream, if you really want to
Yeah.
travel, like you just need to like you need to go for it. You need to
Yeah.
find a way.
Yeah.
Do it. Get a mentor, get like find somebody that that like inspires you, for example. Because and like honestly, at work, a lot of people so they know that I travel because I always request time off. And time. So like the other day or the other week, I was telling like one of my coworkers that I'm gonna need like some time off, and I was asking her like if she can cover my shift, and she was like, "Okay, where are you going this time?" Like she know like people know that I'm trying, but it's also cool because I've had like coworkers that like ask me kind of how I can afford to travel so much, and like how I find like the hostels and like you know they've just been asking me like a lot about travel because they want to do it too. Like certain people
Yeah.
that I work, they really like want to do it too, and they like one guy he told me that like I inspire him or something like that, and I was like, wow, like that, like it's a nice feeling, to know that somebody actually looks up to you and wants to, live a life like you, like similar to yours, or travel more.
Yeah, I think when you're focusing on being the best self that you could be and creating the best life that feels good to you, living in your authentic truth and like what really sets your soul on fire. I think that just by focusing on that, it radiates out, it inherently inspires other people. You don't have to actively like go and change the world. I really think that living in your own like
I
your
think that
highest self is like what will change things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, in a way that does change the world because it does like change society into like knowing it changes like a huge like group of people. It makes an impact because it makes people realize that like you don't need to always conform to society. Like you don't need to like retire when you're like 60 and then go travel, type of thing. Like you can do it now. And I feel like
Gosh, yeah, no, like you won't. First of all, like when you're retired, like at that point, is there really any, I mean, of course you always have things to learn, but at that point, I feel like you have less room to grow than where you are when at the point you're at right now. And plus, like you're not going to be able to do all the physical things that
mm, like
travel could allow
the
you to do.
like stairway to heaven hike
Yeah,
in
you won't be able to do that. No way.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like kind of thinking, I thinking like far into the future, like when I'm that age, I feel like all I would want to do is just like relax. Like I would want to travel, but like in destinations that are like more chill, like a beach vibe type of thing.
Right. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think like when I'm older, I don't think I'll always be staying in hostels, but they're really, really nice right now. And are you looking in hostels for your trip to
Oh,
like
yeah,
Europe this spring? Are you gonna stay in hostels the whole time, or are you looking into other options?
so at first I was gonna hear your thoughts about the couch surfing thing, but then I also like did some research myself, and since it's not very safe, I probably won't be doing that. But I'm gonna look into maybe like house sitters, potentially. But for the most part, like I'm gonna be just staying in hostels, I think, just to because I think for me, like safety is a huge part of it, a huge part of travel. So I don't wanna, you know, like do something to like kind of impede my safety. But
So
I
what's your criteria? Like, how do you select the hostels that you stay in?
Yeah, so I go on Hostel World. I think it's like the best website to find hostels, to find like best hostels. And then I look at like the best reviewed and I make sure it has like, maybe like 1,000 reviews. Cause sometimes it's like you'll see like a 5 star or like the highest rated hostel, but it's only gonna have like 20 or 30 reviews. Like I'm not gonna stay at that one.
Right.
Although it be good, but like you never know. I like I'm more trusting of like people like a lot of reviews versus like not a lot, you know. And so I just find like the best hostels in the city that I'm staying in. So like Lisbon, I just searched like top rated hostels and I made sure I had like a lot of reviews, like over 1,000. And then that it's over like 9. Usually I look for, since I'm booking kind of in advance, like a month in advance, then I'm looking for them to be at least like 9 start. I think it's the highest rated is like 10, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 10. So I look at for at least 9 star rating, and then yeah, like over 1,000 reviews. Um, and then so what I do is I don't book like directly on that website, but I go to the actual, like I search in Google like the actual name of the hostel, and then I book directly through their website because what I found is it's a lot cheaper to book directly through the hostel's website versus Hostel World, because I think Hostel World they collect like extra money to keep their like website running.
Mm.
And yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much what I do. And then I kind of figure out like how many days, I mean, how many nights I need. So I think like to start off, I'm gonna do like more nights, like just so I'm kind of like settled in and like can meet people and see what they're doing. And then kind of go from there. But I'm just booking one for now.
Nice. Okay, yeah, I think that's really helpful. Like knowing your process because it could be overwhelming. There's so many hostels out there. And to choose one is kind of a lengthy process if you're
Uh-huh.
a choosy person like I am. Personally, I spend so much time looking at like all my hostel options, and the top three things that I look for are the location, um, the social aspect, and the cleanliness aspect. Those are like my top three priorities. Um, Not necessarily in order, but I would say it's worth it to pay extra if it has those factors, if it has a great location, if it's really clean, and if it has a great social atmosphere.
Mhm.
Because some hostels will be priced really, really cheap, like say $15 a night, and then you see another hostel that's maybe $30 a night, almost double, but it has so much more amenities and it's a lot more conveniently located, say for than the $15 one. So you gotta ask yourself, is price the most important thing, or is like these other values more important?
Yeah. And it's definitely better to be safe and like pay a little bit extra than get like a terrible like hostel for like super cheap,
Right, and
like
like a bad location.
yeah, or like just not as clean or like, whatever it may be. But I that's why I always look for them to have like reviews like above like 9. at least. Like I just like the best
Yeah.
ones. Like in I just search like best hostels in like Lisbon or whatever city I'm like traveling in. And then I'll look for like the location and like if it's safe, like the cleanliness and everything like that. That's kind of my like process of it, I guess. And then I look for it like to see on Google Maps like the location and if there's like stores nearby or like just kind of the area. And I like for it to like more be in like the city center just
Mhm.
so it's everything because I don't want to have to always like get on a bus or like a car or like a taxi or something.
Because that adds on to your cost too. Like if you're paying for transportation every day to get somewhere you could have already been if you stayed in the place located there, then that could be more expensive than just paying up front a more expensive hostel.
Yeah. So and I bought the Eurail pass, but I don't know. So like I can't really say anything about it yet because so I bought it for like 15 days, but I feel like the 15-day continuous pass, which means like I get 15 continuous days of like train travel, but I honestly feel like I won't need the whole 15 days because at the beginning of this when I was like first kind of planning it or like thinking about it, I thought I was going to go from like place to place like quickly like spend like one day in one city and then the next day in a different city type thing. But now I feel like I want to be a little bit more of like a slower traveler because I think I'm gonna exhaust myself like if I just like go like from city to city type thing. So I don't know. We'll see if the cost on that, if it really is worth it. But
Yeah. I have a couple things to mention on that. I definitely agree that you can get burnt out if you
mm,
pack your itinerary so tightly, you don't leave room for flexibility or just rest days. Because when you
mhm.
are traveling long term, Julie, you're going away for a month, you said?
Yep.
Okay. So it's like it's a lengthy trip. Um,
Yeah.
and if you're constantly booking back-to-back cities, then I could personally say from experience, I went from Paris to London. I spent 3 days in London and I did hardly anything in London because I didn't give myself a rest day in between Paris and London to really like absorb everything.
Travel can be so exhausting. Like
Yeah,
especially sitting on the train for like 6 hours or something. I mean, I've never been on a train. I've never done like the Eurail thing, but I think it's
I
gonna be
had a 15-hour train ride in Sweden. It was crazy.
oh my like what do
My
you
neck was so sore like for the next couple days.
you can only like sit. I guess
Mhm.
if there's seats next to you that are open, you can like lay down. But
Nah, it was a
no.
packed train. I was sitting upright the whole time, but I mean, it's like being on an airplane. I fell asleep. So it wasn't that
That's
bad.
did you have any safety concerns when you were on that train or any train that you've been on?
Um, no, I will say all the countries I've been to have been in Western Europe, and Scandinavia in particular is one of the safest destinations in the planet. And so I felt super secure like the whole time. And that's not to say like let your guard down, but I didn't feel uncomfortable at all about like sleeping and having my belongings somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah, always do your research before going to a place.
yeah. I've kind of been worried about that like on long train travel days. Like kind of and you fall asleep and you have your belongings there. Like I know people use like special like they have like locks and stuff that you can get on Amazon.
Yeah, I have a lock on my suitcase and I slept with my bag kind of on my lap. So it
Okay.
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't like it was completely out in the open. But
Yeah, exhausting sometimes.
yeah, but I was gonna say, I also did the Eurail Pass. So I will say on that, if you guys don't know, it's basically a way to travel country to country in Europe specifically for international travelers. If you're a EU citizen, I think it's called the Interrail or something like that. They have a different name, but it's basically the
Yeah,
same thing.
correct. Eurail. So the Eurail is for basically if you don't live in Europe, if you're not a citizen in Europe, and then the Interrail is if you're a citizen.
Yeah,
Hmm.
different names for the same thing basically, but Yeah, I did the 15-day flex pass and I only used 7 days. So I will say that I overpaid on my investment, but I wanted to be safe than sorry. I didn't want to have like less days than I needed because then I would have to pay
Hmm.
upfront the train ticket that it would be from city to city. Um,
Hmm.
so I think it's a good way to go if you want to have that flexibility to travel kind of to whatever destination because um it's kind of a complicated booking thing. It might be a different conversation about transportation, but I think it's easier than booking every single ticket. Like say you're going to multiple cities. It's easier to buy one Eurail pass than to buy one ticket to go to this city, one ticket to go to this
Yeah,
city, and it's like it's just too
it's like
complicated.
yeah, it eases your mind. It makes it more of like a stress-free
Yeah,
travel
exactly.
experience, like knowing that you can hop on any train you want, go to like any city that you want. It's kind of that I like the flexibility of it, I will say, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Um, And then do you have any general tips, Julia? Now that you've done solo travel, you're pretty good on budget traveling. Do you have any like just tips overall for people to take away?
Um, Overall, I have different tips, but like, um, I would say for me, whenever I'm staying at a hostel, I'll bring like my own, like either I'll bring like my own like sheet for the bed,
Mm.
or like there's a kind of I have this thing, I can't remember what it's called. It's kind of like a sleeping bag, except it's really, really thin. It's just like kind of it's like super thin. It's not like an actual sleeping bag, so it makes it like easy to pack and it fits like nicely in my suitcase. It's really small. So it's kind of like a packable sleeping bag almost. And then I usually bring my own pillowcase because just in case like I mean, you never know like even if the hostel is like rated really highly and it's like clean, it still kind of makes me feel more at home to have my own pillowcase and like my own like sheet. I don't know. That's just like a kind of maybe it's just a personal preference. But sometimes also if you're not really like a much of a planner and you don't know like which hostel you're going to be staying at until like the day before, or I don't know, however you guys plan your trips, but it's kind of nice just to have your own pillowcase and like sheets at least, or at least your own pillowcase. Um but yeah, that's one thing. Another thing, it's really so like to make friends and stuff, it's pretty easy. Like even if you're not staying at a hostel, like you can book tours and meet friends that way, or like they have the free walking tours. Oh, this is a good one. A lot of cities they have free walking tours. And so which basically they don't charge you anything except for tips. And so that's a good way to like on your first day to get to know the area or the city that you're staying in and also meet people. um and what else? Oh, also a tip, like whenever you're, I don't know, kind of in like a people setting, if you're like at a bar or like um I don't know, anywhere, like don't stay on your phone a lot because then you're not going to be as approachable if you want to make friends. um so you know just kind of branch out more and try to talk to people. I found that that's kind of a good way of making friends versus just like staying on your phone, because if you're always like on your phone, like nobody's really gonna talk to you.
Yeah, I would 100% stand by all those tips. That's great advice. And just to add my own, I would say if I were to give like one random tip, get people's contact information. I think like when you travel, the connections you make are the most valuable, as we mentioned. And the
Hmm.
best way that I found is to just exchange Instagram information, follow each
Yeah.
other on social media. That way you could keep up with them, they could keep up with you. And like you never know if you're in the same city again one day, you could possibly meet up and a friendship could develop. You never know. It's always good to kind of network, not in a career sense, but just like to have um other travelers in your kind of circle.
Yeah, definitely. um
I think my internet's pretty
Lydia, can you hear me? Okay. You're like
bad.
freezing up a little.
Oh no, my internet
Yeah.
started to be bad. Okay. Well, luckily, I think we shared all of our thoughts for today. Thank you so much for listening, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Lydia. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. We have to have you on for part 3 after your month-long solo trip in Europe.
Def-
Definitely.
yes, I would love to share all of my. I'm so excited. Like I can't even.
I'm
I
so excited for you. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, we can't wait for that one, but yeah, in the meantime, thank you. Shout out to Julia for coming on and being a wonderful guest. If you would like to be on this podcast, I would really genuinely love to have a conversation with you as well, surrounding the topic of travel, of course. So, yeah, don't hesitate to reach out to me on Instagram. It's just my name, Lydia Schultz, double Z at the end. It's in my About section on the Spotify platform. But yeah, please reach out if you ever want to be featured, have a conversation with me about travel. Genuinely, I could talk about it all day. So, yeah, and if you have any comments, suggestions about this podcast, I'd love to know as well. And you can have that ability to write any comments in the reply section of the Q&A. So, yeah, thank you again for listening and have a great day, guys.